I noticed this a lot in the last few years, where a group will be thriving, a community will be thriving, and they'll be doing very well. And then here comes feminist and social justice warriors. I single them out specifically because I've noticed the destructive habits they have on certain hobbies in certain communities. For example, the atheist community, which was really very much thriving, here comes atheism plus, which was basically a disguise for atheism plus feminism. It basically just destroyed the atheist movement as it was. Or how about the gamer community, where here comes again you have the social justice warriors more specifically, and also the feminists in this situation. Except I don't see gamers ever being destroyed by this, but I can give you reasons why. For example, where I want to start is with atheism and atheism plus. Now, I myself am an atheist. I consider myself an atheist for several reasons instead of just considering myself not religious. But here's what I have to say on the matter. I got into the atheist movement relatively late, as in, by the time I got there, atheism plus was about to happen, and basically, here comes a lot of crap. In fact, I remember the early days when I first started watching some of Christopher Hitchens' debates and really admiring him and wishing that and hoping that one day I could see him in a debate live, finding out that he had already passed away. And I was a little saddened by this, but it didn't stop me from still wanting to kind of be a part of the community. But when I watched that community kind of fall apart, and it happened rather quickly, there was just no community left, and I was forced to just kind of continue on by myself in whatever I wanted to do, or whatever it meant for me to be an atheist at that point. What happened with atheism was basically when you had somebody who co-opted a conversation away from what it was originally for, instead of their atheism, which was mostly about combating the actions of theists and the negative actions that we found that it had on our population. Other people wanted to add certain things to the argument. And when other people wanted to focus on the original plan and the original focus of what the community was about, it didn't go so well. It ended up fracturing the community, and by the end, just too many people who were there didn't want to be a part of it at all. This is kind of what I see kind of started to happen with gamers. But the error that was made with gamers is gamers don't necessarily always communicate this way. They don't come together in a tight-knit group for certain reasons, and gamers tend to vet each other more harshly. I know that's weird. It seems like gamers are harder than saying gamers are harder than atheists. But when it comes to vetting each other, they are. For example, I can give you a situation where you have 10 gamers standing in a room, and they're all talking about a specific game. Now, with me, and I remember I'm in a conversation with a bunch of other gamers, it can go from one game to another, and before we know it, 30 minutes has gone by, and we've covered maybe like 10 or 15 games. The first having nothing to do with the last whatsoever. This can happen a lot, and now imagine you being in this situation, and you are all enjoying yourselves, having this conversation, and then someone comes into that conversation wanting to talk about something that has nothing to do with gaming. In other words, a social justice warrior or a feminist wanting to talk about something that has nothing to do with gaming, i.e. how bad it is or how this and this and that. You can imagine yourself not wanting to be a part of that, or finding yourself to leave that situation. But gamers oftentimes, being gamers they oftentimes just start a kind of a dialogue and continue on with this person, trying to kind of convince or just talk about it. I remember a scene from an anime that I cannot stand, but it did have several interesting points. Not so much about what was the main point of the anime, but one of the side stories. And the anime is Orimo. I hate Orimo. I can't stand Orimo at all. But in the scene where I can't remember his name, his sister and what was her best friend Kuroneko first meet, they have this conversation where they almost seem like they're arguing. This can actually happen a lot with gamers and a lot of people who are passionate about what they're talking about. What may seem like an argument to someone who is outside of the spectrum or outside of their community will see this as an argument. But no, the truth is they're just passionate and they're having a heated debate. And the lines can get very blurred when you don't understand this. So, in other words, you have someone who now wants to talk about something else, enter into a community where they're talking about another thing. They may be quick to distance themselves from this person or attempt to argue with that person in the passionate way that they often are accustomed to doing, and this person may see this as aggression. The reason why I say that fracturing gamers is a lot harder to do than it was with atheism, or at least the atheist community, is because gamers only have one thing in common, and that is specifically gaming. Atheists often have a lot of things in common, in such as their political views on certain things, which are usually somewhat kind of liberal or sometimes conservative, but they follow the same beliefs that whatever laws they do pass should be based on reason and fact instead of religion, giving them a high probability of having similar traits when it comes to their political views. Gamers are completely opposite of that. The only thing gamers have in common is gaming. So therefore, when you try and talk to them about political views, you could be talking to 3 Democrats, 3 liberals, 3 libertarians, 3 Republicans, and 3 nonpartisan people at all. So you could be talking to a complete group of people who have no affiliation with you whatsoever when it comes to your political views. So when you bring politics into an area where which politics isn't the focus, you have a problem, because they're not going to not want to hang with you. You might get a few who will stay with you, but this won't fracture the gaming community, as gamers always have one thing in common, and that is gaming. And gaming is pretty much something you can do by yourself, or you can do with anybody else. There's so many subsections of gaming, it's impossible to fracture it because it's already fractured, but yet constantly holding together. My point in this is, if someone came into a group where I was and wanted to talk about something that had nothing to do with gaming at all, I might find myself distancing myself away from them because I would have no reason to hang out with them. Or if they challenged something or argued against something that I enjoyed, I would find myself in somewhat of a heated debate. My suggestion to gamers is control the heated argument, as these people who are invading gamer spaces don't understand passion. They don't understand the passion we have for gaming, and therefore they're going to take anything that we say to them as aggression.